see what they decide to ban first, starting with Rebels Anarchy.
Yes, indeed.
sorry,
So,
Bonzo, yeah.
Cassiopeia will be the first ban. Typical stuff against Frozen here. But you have to watch out for Frozen's Varus on the red side is one of the major issues that you have when facing this team. And also, Expression's champion pool a little bit unknown right now.
Yeah.
We were looking at that earlier, like Top Olaf.
Top Olaf, a lot of Azir. He's been playing mid as well, so we'll see if some of these mid lane champions will end up transitioning their way to top lane.
All right, Zed ban. That is probably a good indication that Frozen wants to go with Zir or Victor, and Mickey has, of course, counterpicked with that Zed many times in the past. But if they're banning Zed, that probably means that I am once a priority mid laner like Victor in the first round of the draft, because otherwise they could just counterpick and Mickey would never pick Zed. So if you're going to make that ban, I think you're banking on getting probably Victor very soon.
So if you're thinking about getting the Victor, and you're worried about IM's Varus, if Frozen playing Varus, then would you maybe ban it here and then like take the Victor, or like would that still leave you open to a lot of things in the mid lane?
Yeah, we're gonna see how they play it out. The Lulu ban is more of a pocket ban right here against Frozen, rather than something they're probably seriously considering taking. But Callista and Gragas and are still available. Sivir as well. I don't think Anarchy's going to first pick Victor. I think that Mickey is comfortable enough with like champions like Ahri that that's not going to be necessary. But Ahri less of a problem, I would say, for Victor than that Zed is. Could be, like I said, could be the Azir also.
The Rise ban.
Yeah, Rise ban actually coming out of Anarchy, but Ixu's pretty much exclusively been playing tanks.
Right.
Maokai or Hecarim.
I mean, we have seen Rise in the mid lane with Faker pulling it out. It's Faker, so your mileage may vary, but but we have
I also
seen it.
saw Faker play Aurelia in the mid lane.
And Master Yi. So, Callista.
Yeah, Callista ban. So, question for Anarchy right now. Do they want the Sivir? Do they want the Gragas? They want the Sivir over everything else. And I am here. I think you have to take the Gragas because Lyra is too strong on that champion mechanically, and he provides too much early pressure ganking in the mid lane. I think you probably take Victor. Wow, Rek'Sai, I think you take the Gragas and you take Victor here, more than likely.
What these hovers kind of indicate to me is that maybe Tuzin's looking for an early game impact, because Rek'Sai or Gragas both, offer that kind of early game pressure that you need, and Annie's locked in.
Yeah, the Annie has been rising in priority in Korea. It's almost always locked in the first round of the draft on red side. Of course, providing that instant engage. Not great synergy between Gragas and Annie ultimates, though, even though you do have some decent kill pressure in lane. But they're going to be potentially giving that Victor up to Mickey right now.
Please don't pick Yasuo.
Yes, that's how I feel every time.
Every
Barry.
time?
Every time. That is how I feel.
Well, Echo, Yasuo.
Now, Expression has been playing a lot of Aurelia in top, and that is going to be a Nidalee lock for Lyra. Interesting.
So maybe he's thinking that he wants to find maybe Tuzin in the jungle and try to kill him there, because Nidalee does that fairly well.
Yeah, he's going to have to be careful about how he does it, though, because if he starts invading against an Annie, he could get caught out pretty easily. There's the tanky Nautilus just to deal with the Annie in the laning phase. And I think Nidalee is just a great choice for this Anarchy team. You have that highly mechanical jungler who likes to play aggressively, who likes to gank a lot in the laning phase. Frozen hovering over that Luxia is definitely not going to fix that, even though it is a specialty of his.
Maybe in 5.12. Or is it 5.11 the e-buffs?
No, it's not 5.11.
And 12. Then maybe next patch.
Maybe next patch.
So Xerath is the hover.
No, I think it's going to be Azir, or probably actually Azir works very nicely with the rest of this composition in terms of poke and siege right now. So Azir is, I think, going to be the best for this composition so far. I am kind of going for a weird mix of disengage and engage right here. The Annie may not be the best selection, but it's a good takeaway pick at the very least.
Well, then you still have the potential for like a big wombo combo because the Annie gets her stun off, and then you have the Azir just shoving everybody for massive, massive damage.
Yeah.
So the possibility is there.
The possibility is there, yes. It definitely is. So they are waiting on their top laner. So trying to get Expression a comfortable matchup.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, first time in the booth in over a year.
And Expression was always a strong laner. He's very much a 1v1 player. So
Yes.
giving him the advantageous matchup would probably be the best. And we have a Varus and Rumble hover.
Yeah, Varus for Mickey would be a bit of a change up from his normal style where he much more prefers champions that he can get to other lanes in and start snowballing by roaming on the map. This time, however, he'll be taking some siege. Now, this is very reminiscent of a composition that Jin Air would run. They like to play that Nidalee jungle, especially with the Sivir, and just peel everything out. Because Anarchy right now, their main problem is that they lack engage, so they have to kite with this composition.
Right.
They can drop the equalizer and then maybe hope they get like a chain of corruption, but
I mean,
that's it. The Jax has long been an Expression special.
And I think it's a fairly decent matchup. Oh, you have seen him play this.
Yeah, in solo,
queue.
queue. So that's been a thing, but
Just ignore just trolling. Renekton. Vladimir. They're just going over all these farm split push specialties.
I think the Shyvana actually is a real possibility, though.
Aurelia.
And no, will be the Aurelia, one of his most played champions in solo queue. So coming in today, I am really mixing it up. They have, in the past, generally preferred to play with champions like Rumble or Gnar in the top lane, providing that tankiness there. But this time, Expression is going to be on a more carry-oriented top laner. And Aurelia is a great pick right here. Aurelia's going to do very well getting on top of champions like Varus and Nidalee.
Definitely. And it's the backline threat that they needed. Because they have Azir and then they have Corki kind of just holding that front. And meanwhile, the Gragas is a giant roadblock. But at the same time, Anarchy has Nautilus as the roadblock with the huge AoE slow that he puts down with his E. So it'd be interesting to see who gets the better flank, who gets the better engages, who gets the better setups. And with Anarchy with their stellar vision control, I feel like Long Zion will really have to work for that to really break their siege.
Yeah, and that could be quite problematic. I'm just very worried about Anarchy in general because they're so reliant on kiting,
Right.
and there's a lot of engage. Gragas, Annie, Aurelia on this IM team, so they're going to have to play this siege really, really well. Make sure they land those skill shots from Nidalee and Varus. And it's no surprise Anarchy would be going for a composition that is focused around the performance of Lyra and Mickey. But instead of them going in, it's going to be about kiting this time, guys. Well, we're going to go into game number 1 here between LZIM and Anarchy Rebels. I messed it up, Barry. It was Rebels Anarchy. I already forgot their new name.
Oh, well. But, yeah. Oh, congratulations on IM's 3rd year anniversary, apparently. They've been around for a while.
That's just for LoL, actually. They've been around much longer in StarCraft 2. Of course, one of, if not the most successful StarCraft 2 teams of all time.
Unfortunately, didn't translate into League of Legends.
Not yet. Is it their time to shine? Expression is back.
You saw that sign. Summer's only the beginning for Longzhu IM.
I'm very intrigued by Expression's return just because he always was a very solid top laner in a region that is known for top lane talent.
Right.
So his And I'm happy we get to see him on Aurelia, see his carry potential this game, not just going for a tank like Maokai. Maokai curiously falling all the way through pick and ban this game.
Right, which is odd because Ix is such a big Maokai player. And we kind of see maybe a possible lane swap.
Yeah, it looks like they may want to just try and shut down this Aurelia early, have Rumble do the jungle follow alongside Nidalee. And that's what we are going to get right here. Pretty standard ward placement right at level 1. And I am, as well as Anarchy, just going to set up for an easy, easy freeze.
Well, meanwhile, the Annie's standing by in the bot lane with her stun up. And Snowflower going for the harass, but not much here.
Yeah, he came over, and I am actually curiously starting at the Krugs, not something you normally see, because normally you want to avoid this situation, especially against the Nautilus. It is so important that you actually clean up your jungle pathing against support Nautilus, because he is by far the most annoying level 1 support to deal with.
And he's really delaying them on that red buff, and they have to call over Ignar from bottom.
Yep. Well, they're going to try something a little crazy right here. Ignar does not have a stun loaded up, hasn't even skilled, has skilled his Q, actually.
He just skilled.
Yeah, just skilled that, so didn't have that up, but it's not something that Snowflower is going to know.
This delays Longzhuan by a fair amount. I mean, maybe we can see a possible invade onto their blue later on, but I guess it is the strong side for Longzhuan, so they might be safer.
Yeah, they are going to be safer, but the question is here, what is Ignar going to do? Because his time has really been cut coming into this follow situation, and there's a reason why this the jungle pathing has evolved in lane swaps in Korea into doing buffs first, because you just don't want the enemy support to roam in and start messing you up like that, because it really does, as you're saying, Barry, throw off all your timings.
Right. And we see Tucson went straight to his blue, so he's going to probably get that safely.
Yeah, so it's just a delay here, not much, but that is going to give Lyra a better timing window where a counter gank is just simply not going to be possible from IM. He could go straight for a gank right now, and Tucson really isn't going to have any way to feasibly stop him. Also has a chance just to come down here and help break the freeze if he wants. So a lot of freedom right now.
Oh, and we have Annie in the top lane, which was noticed, but no stun means no kill.
Yeah, Songyun also going to have spell shield, so that isn't the biggest deal.
They really want to shove this into the tower so they can bounce it back.
Yeah, they definitely do. So Ignar showing up there may mean that, well, Lyra's just going to get some free jungling right now, using that Trailblazer just to move through the jungle pretty fast, and then is he going to actually try for some warding? He does have that extra green ward. Yep, is going to be seen in the river as well.
All right. I mean, slow. It's game slowed down significantly starting from that invade from Snowflower. We've got both supports in the top lane. Meanwhile, Rumble and Corki in their 1v1. Yordle fight in the bottom lane.
Yordle wars. Yordles who are in machines.
Quite the theme.
I guess. I'm still waiting for an adequate reason why Corki does not have fur, but Rumble and other male Yordles do.
I have the perfect answer for that. It's because he hasn't been reworked yet. He doesn't have a visual update.
That's actually probably true. That is actually probably the real reason. We've gotten to the heart of it, Barry.
I know. Just cutting straight to the core right here. That's what I do.
It's you. The razor of truth.
Oh,
is that what they
man.
call you? Barry, Truth's razor.
I mean, if you really delve into the Chinese characters backing my Korean name, no, not really.
Okay, Paragon going to get jumped on a little bit. Takes some pounce damage from Lyra. Lyra just going to try and get one last spear in there. Can't land it, but nice one from the brush. And that bottom side very heavily warded right now. Not really, I mean, a little bit of a successful gank. Paragon may have to think about going back out of potions, but
he still has both of Summer, so I think he's in a good spot, even though Ixu is at full health. So we'll see if he can CS safely under that tower, or if he falls behind at all.
yeah. Snowflower has an opportunity here just to push this into the turret and then recall and then maybe make a play in conjunction with Lyra on the bottom side. They're just covering in mid lane right now. Tucson there, but Tucson really going to have a hard time getting an angle on this Nidalee.
Right. And they spot Annie moving through the bottom jungle there. And recalls all around. Prolongs through IM.
Oh boy. Aren't lane swaps fun? The answer is
farming.
yes.
So much farming.
That's what I like. I like to see who recalls win, how they path through the jungle, which supports get an advantage through harassing, like we saw. That is truly the most beautiful part of League of Legends.
Truly.
It is.
Okay. You know what the most beautiful part of League of Legends is for me? I just want to see all the mechanical outplays so I can say later on, social media, it's almost like a my dad is better than your dad kind of fight. It's like my player is better than your player, so.
You have to have arguments with people, but you're an SKT fan, so you always win because you like Faker.
Unless EasyHoon plays. And then sometimes I win. Mostly. I still mostly win. All right. Well, some people might say it's a cop-out for me to like SKT because they're the best, but that's why I like them.
You like them because they're the best.
Yeah.
See, poor me. And my KT fandom never getting to go to Worlds. Oh, here's the play. Mickey getting knocked around, actually. Chain of Corruption goes down. There's the hail of arrows. Mickey boxed in by Tucson and Ignar.
Great play.
Yeah, nice mechanical play, and that's what you have to be a little bit worried about if you're playing this Varus in the mid lane. His flash was blown earlier. Lyra there for some reason, and okay. Yeah, just going to flash straight into the wall right there. Ignar still waiting. It's worth noting that Ignar never showed during that gank. He was just standing in the brush while Mickey never made it there, and the brush was pink warded. So they didn't necessarily know that Ignar was there, but you have to be very careful coming into the mid lane like that when a gank has just gone down. I am looking for this dragon, and they're going to get it.
Well earned. Well earned.
Those wards, that is one of the most dangerous places to walk in League of Legends.
Well, we'll see if Rebels Anarchy can make it back from that, and we're going to see a replay quickly.
You just can't walk there. If you don't have a pink ward in that situation, they should have known which way people were going. And look at this, the punishment of the Varus continuing. They know if they shut down Mickey that this Anarchy team is going to have a lot of problems winning this game, so they're just going to continue standing there. And it's kind of interesting. This is normally what we see from Anarchy, where Snowflower will go on the roam and, Songyun just sits there by himself on the bottom side.
Oh, no. They're doing it again.
Oh, they've been doing it this whole time. They've been doing it this whole time, Barry. They have not moved.
Well,
Are you ready for a flash stun?
Here we go.
There's the explosive cast, and there is the finisher. Mickey gets taken down. Ignar and Expression under trouble, gets roasted by that equalizer, but reverses the kill at the same time.
Just barely enough.
Just barely enough, and that was Expression showing on the, Lyra rather, showing on the top side of the map for a 1v1. Definitely a disadvantage, and Expression doing all right.
So, here's a question. You're a poke comp that fell behind in the early mid game. What do you do to get back into the game? Do you set up picks? Do you try to set up some sort of siege? What do you do?
So, remember how we talked about how Anarchy doesn't really have a reliable form of engage? Well, when that happens, you can more or less throw picks right out the window because it's so hard to set up picks with something like depth charge because they can flash over a wall or something and just get out of it, really.
Right.
So you could set up picks with Mickey pretty much only if he can land that Chain of Corruption or you can catch somebody out with an equalizer, but it's definitely not easy for Anarchy's comp to do. I think the best thing they can do right now is try and get position on the dragon or something like that and have a speed shrine and just try and poke them and force IM to engage in. But their power spike, like you're saying, has been significantly delayed. Mickey is very weak. He's had to go tier Brutalizer. Not ideal for stacking that tier, and that's going to be quite a problem.
He's down about, I think, 400 to 500 gold versus the Azir right now. So we'll see if Lyra decides to go to that mid lane to focus on to shore that up a little bit. But meanwhile, the bottom lane pushing, as Sivir does.
As Sivir does. But Paragon, as he creeps closer to that Trinity Force, will be able to turn this around and match the wave clear a little bit. Mickey getting played very aggressively by Frozen. And it's simply because he's had to go for this sort of triage build with the early Brutalizer just so we can get a power spike against the Azir, which is out farming him, has more kills than him as well.
What do you do?
Oh, all right. Songyun going to go in. Ignar just going to back off Snowflower low. Ignar continuing forward. There we see a miss Tibbers after the flash from Songyun. But they got both summoners out of Songyun right there. So that is definitely a worthwhile trade, even though they couldn't finish the kill off.
I mean, that Tibbers was mainly used for damage because as he used it, that's when his stun came up.
Okay, Expression coming in right here. Equalizer goes down, and there is Lyra to counter gank. And Tucson not really going to find much in that top side, and it can be rough. They were trying to make that play. They have no wards in the top side jungle right now. They have no wards even really in those lane brushes. So Lyra could have been anywhere. Very sloppy.
All the wards right now are pretty much on from Rebels Anarchy. And Mickey, is he going to die? Ooh. Close tussle.
Flash for flash. Mid lane.
But in the end, Frozen wins because he just gets to pick up even more farm.
Yeah, and he still has disengage tools. Mickey.
What's he going to do?
Yeah, lacking those. Without the flash, he's that much more vulnerable. So Anarchy trying to get some wards into the enemy jungle right now, taking that opportunity when they know that Frozen will be backing.
They want the next dragon. This is what tells what indicates to me what Anarchy wants to do. They want that dragon. They get the wards down. They get to set up, like you said, in order to just poke, and maybe try to win a team fight after that.
Yeah, it's still going to be a long shot though. Paragon coming up on that Trinity Force. Songyun very far away from an Infinity Edge.
Expression, he's getting close to his Sheen. I think he has some money to spend. Maybe or not. Or
well, probably not. He just came back. So Frozen not going to get hooked right there. Had no flash, but he does have those Sand Soldiers to hop to and escape. And now Tucson starting to respond a minute early with some warding of their own.
And just like that, IM has position.
Yeah, this is, I mean, Anarchy, they're trying to stack 2 tiers right now. This isn't the best time for them to be fighting. They don't have really any carry potential out of any champion besides Ixu's Rumble. He's in a good place in terms of his power right now.
So looks like they're thinking about doing something top lane. Then what do you suggest me? Oh, bottom lane, big fight.
Yeah, there we go. Sivir ult is popped. Paragon moves forward with the flash and the Valk, and that's going to be a kill for him as his lane is doing quite well upon his return. And they're going to keep pushing.
So you have Anarchy, who has each lane has somewhat decent wave clear. You have the Varus that can clear waves fairly easily. You have the Sivir. You have Rumble, who can has the AOE. Then why maybe just give up the dragon?
Oh, and there's Mickey, gets caught out by another explosive cast. Frozen bounces him out, takes him down, even through the chain of corruption. Sorry, guys, our cameras, there's so much action. Our camera getting here a little bit late today, and now that's going to be an easy dragon. They know that Lyra was just on the top side of the map.
And maybe a mid lane tower, but Lyra is trying to shore up, trying to save that tower. But the tower goes down.
He is not in a good place, though. Just has a Mage's Enchant and a Tear, so he cannot take any of that poke damage from the Azir.
Right. But meanwhile, turret went down. Turret still stays alive for Rebels Anarchy, so 1-0 turrets, but still down in kills.
Yeah, this is looking quite good for IM right now. Even though they lost the top lane tower as part of that trade, it just blowing on that bottom lane turret will knock it over.
Yeah, and it's only a 300 gold lead for Longzhu IM, but it's Rebels Anarchy that wanted that gold lead. They need a gold lead in order to be able to close out the game, and they just don't have it.
Yeah, just the Muramana, or Manamune rather, coming up right now for Mickey late into this game, and now this is the siege that they need to get rolling. But again, they have Sivir. Sivir not the best synergy with Varus, especially compared to a champion like Corki or even Lucian. That shorter auto attack range does increase the difficulty of sieging.
But maybe they wanted to shore up Varus' weakness in terms of mobility with Sivir's ult. So the synergy is there, but maybe not just for sieging.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to come in the form of kiting. And meanwhile, as we're seeing right now, those 2 turrets about to go down, and that is going to be the big gold lead when it happens that IM was looking for to complement their 2-0 dragon start. Expression, oh man, that looks familiar.
Oh boy, taking all the buffs. invading all the jungles.
There's a flash Tibbers, and Paragon on top of him immediately. Fast Bomb, and then knocked out by the explosive gas teleport coming in. Ixu already TP'd down, but he's going to have to run. Sand Soldiers preventing him from doing much of anything. Expression comes down to the bottom side. Maybe didn't need to complete that teleport. Gotta wonder.
Right. The problem is that, you know, Anarchy wants to be the one that dictates the pace of the game, but they just can't. It's just really difficult for them. And, you know, Longzhu IM just comes in with the anti-stun, they come in with their hard engage, and there's just no way for them to set up any sort of siege. They're weaker too, so it's not like they can bully their way into a siege situation.
And that was perfect, like you're saying, for IM, because basically Anarchy has to group. They must. And so the pick potential from IM with all their crowd control is so incredibly high that if they're caught in the middle of a rotation like we just saw down into the bottom side, they will lose those little skirmishes. In spite of having this Nidalee here. Oh, nice. And there's the depth charge. Ignar looks like he will be going down. Mickey finishes him off with a piercing arrow.
Good pick. Maybe they'll need 10 more of those.
Yeah, they will need quite a few more, I think, if they really want to capitalize. Because at the end of the day, they killed the support, but there's nothing to be done in terms of actually taking a tower.
Look at that vision, though, in the bottom side jungle.
Yeah. Paragon has to be careful, that's for sure. But you can have that vision, but what happens when there's nothing you can really do with it?
Right.
And that tower still has quite a bit of HP. Now they could try and dive this. Ignar's coming mid.
It's doable.
Chain of Corruption onto Frozen. There we go. And what a nice Azir ultimate right there. Equalizer down. Frozen gonna fall, but Mickey finds himself in the back line. 2 for 1. Mickey and Snowflower pay as Frozen uses the cleanse to get out of the Chain of Corruption and turn it around at the mid lane. They thought Ignar may be going back into the bottom side. No, he was not.
He was waiting.
He was lurking.
I mean, it looked like a good idea. It looked. I thought that they might get, you know, take Frozen and then get out scot-free, but Frozen played that very well too. He pushed the right people back.
Songyun, ult, flash, as Paragon with that Trinity Force comes into the bottom side. Songyun just has, well, he has the Infinity Edge now, but... Ignar is just everywhere with Tucson.
And look at that. Boots of mobility with the distortion enchant.
So early in this game to have the distortion enchantment.
And he's going to have that Righteous Glory sooner or later as well. So it's just going to make, you know, Anarchy's life even tougher.
And he's quite rich this game. So let's take a look at this one again. Frozen, there's the cleanse. And he will push Snowflower and Lyra back. Look, he's not standing on the equalizer, just taking damage from Mickey's Varus. And then there, Mickey just gets bounced in.
Stunned up, bounced in. I mean, you can't blame Anarchy for trying that.
No, they have to do something right now because they're at the point where they are going to lose their entire outer ring of turrets in just a matter of seconds. Mid very low, top very low, Expression still putting on the pressure, and that gold swing is going to be massive.
Tibbers back up, flash back up almost soon.
A very good position for this Dragon in spite of the lack of teleport on their top laner. Expression just doing his Expression things and putting that pressure on the top side.
Dragon up in 45 seconds though. So if Anarchy do want to try to maybe poke them out, and recall's coming out from Longzhu IM, they know it's coming up, they want to set up.
Yeah, they do. So this will be the end of the top lane. Mickey not going to get the blue buff. That'll be handed to Lyra.
Makes sense. I mean, you have Lyra who can throw out spears, which still does a great amount of damage with the Megas enchant.
Yeah, it'd be better if he had that Seraph's complete, but he doesn't have the money for that yet, even though his tier is probably very close to being fully stacked if it's not already. Looks like it is, actually. He's pouncing around and it's not stacking, so that is ready to turn into a Seraph's as soon as he can get home, but he's not going to have a chance before this Dragon fight really unfolds. 2 for 2 the towers now.
And I feel like this is the Dragon you might not want to give up, especially with the extra movement speed on the entirety of IM. And they're already hard engaging onto your composition. You don't want them to do it even faster.
Yeah, that is. I think you're right. That speed buff really a danger in this particular circumstance. Okay, so IM has the priority on that objective right now. They do not have the speed shrine.
If Anarchy manages to find a fight in the choke, I think they can win it if they fight in the choke.
Yeah, if they get into a place where they can really land a lot of that poke, but you can see right now IM is just not committing. They're all spread out. They're fanned out.
Ignar looking for the
Well, except for Frozen Paragon, are going to get hit by one piercing arrow at the same time.
Ooh, Ignar dodging everything. Those boots of mobility, man. Call him Neo.
That's right. Bullet dodging. So they clear out that mid lane wave. Ooh. Very close. Expression, I mean, there's also two Trinity forces on the side of Incredible Miracle, so they have a lot of extra movement speed for dodging these skill shots.
And they looks like they're going to take it. They take it.
Clean acquisition. Are they going to go in right now? There's the Timbers onto Snowflower. Equalizer goes down on the backside. There's Chain of Corruption. Frozen just going to cleanse that. Snowflower still low, but he's going to get out. Frozen with the Zhonya's Hourglass. He gets cooked by Ixu right as he comes out.
IM has to be careful.
Yeah, they're coming out. Nice flash. Ixu moves forward. Paragon has Valkyrie, and he is going to leave the battle unscathed. And there we go.
So they get the dragon, but they give up 2 kills. And maybe potentially the mid turret, which is going to go down now. Maybe the mid tier 2?
Yeah, probably the mid tier 2, actually. They have the double 80 carry, and they have the attack speed buff from Nidalee's heal. So that's going to be a pretty fast kill on the tower. So, very big trade in favor of Anarchy. They finally find their gold lead.
Little under 2K, and we're going to see that fight again.
So I am already a little bit poked out right there. Tibbers kind of wasted on Snowflower, honestly, and Expression gets the depth charge, so he's not able to auto-attack during his Heat 10 style. Frozen tries to turn this one around, but everybody was already poked by Mickey. Their backline had been poked out by Varus thanks to Mickey's good positioning.
Right, and then you just get that spear, just a cleanup coming in afterwards. I mean, well fought by Anarchy.
Yeah, they did a good job finding that angle finally to get the piercing arrow.
It's just unfortunate that they had to give up the dragon for that.
Yeah, that's the big factor right here. Did they get enough of a lead, 500 gold, and they're still down 3 dragons to 0. There's a pretty big timer on this game, and I'm a little bit concerned for them. Mickey has recovered nicely at the very least, in spite of being 1-4-3, does have all the armor penetration he needs alongside the Manamune. Still no Muramana.
And I don't know. I mean, once the Annie has that Righteous Glory, that engage just from the Fog of War is just going to be so godly and from Longzhu IM. So it's just, they need to press their advantage right now, whatever little bit they have. But they just want to farm. They just, I mean, I guess they just don't have the requisite vision to make sure they can make those plays.
No, they don't. And they can't walk forward either because you're dealing with this advancing wall of wards from Incredible Miracle that are in your jungle. You have no wards in the enemy jungle if you're Anarchy, which means you cannot siege these tier 2s in top or bottom without the threat of a very large flank coming through and nailing you to the wall. So this is a very difficult situation for Anarchy to be in. They have to face check, basically, so I may be able to exploit this.
So we might see a Baron bait here.
Definitely a good plan. You have an Annie, and you have a Gragas.
And you have an Expression.
You have an Expression to split push, so absolutely. Setting up a Baron bait, a good idea. No one also on Anarchy actually farming right now.
Right.
They're only farming out of that mid lane. Meanwhile, 3 lanes being farmed by Incredible Miracle.
They also gave up position on the Baron, so no more baiting for now.
Well, they gave it up, but the price was, hey,
more farm. We're
going to get farm. You're going to lose a bunch into the turret, or you're going to have to split up, and we're going to charge down your tier 2. So you can see right now, I am just starting to group and push back. Now they know that those side waves have to be cleared, so they can reverse some of the pressure in the mid lane.
Expression with the nice flank, but nothing comes of it.
Oh, it may. See what Ixu does right here. Ixu sees the Annie. Oh no, Tibbers comes down. Expression with the follow-up stun with that Equilibrium strike, and he dies thanks to the Transcendent Blades. Just very dangerous to be farming right there.
A lot of damage onto Paragon from the Equalizer, though, so they have to be careful. They can get poked out if they're not cautious here.
Lyra coming up from behind. They still have enough HP. Paragon has Summoner Heal if he needs to use it.
They see Tucson behind them, which is oh god.
Yeah, Lyra just gets jumped on by Ignar and Tucson. He does end up living, and he actually gets a kill onto Expression. There's the knockback, though, and everyone in the range of the Sand Soldiers. Frozen can't be hit in that Zhonya's, and now he's going to send his soldiers over the wall. Just more poke. Snowflower, is he barely going to live? Paragon has to back off as Lyra throws some more spears his way. So 1 for 1, but Anarchy really isn't going to get any control back out of that skirmish.
Great Emperor's Divide in the middle of that fight. It just ensured that it looked so bad for Longzhou IM when it started, and then just Frozen managed to just turn it on its head.
Yeah,
great play.
That was very well executed, at least in terms of Azir play and controlling the zones. Azir also going to get a blue buff before this dragon spawns. I am looking for number 4. They really just want to keep on chugging, but they have to get some vision over Baron first. They don't have any wards over there. That's not a trade you want to make. Ignar already there to do just that.
Can't take out the pink ward, though, with Snowflower lurking in that riverside, the mid lane river brush. Well,
the shot calling for IM has generally been pretty good so far this game. They definitely have managed to keep an eye on all of the appropriate objectives and make sure that they do things methodically, like getting this Baron vision first, and including maybe even that Scuttle Crab. That would be very valuable for them, actually, because that's something that Anarchy isn't going to be able to clear while this dragon is going down. They also have the deep wards in around the dragon in the bottom side.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in 2 longtime veterans in Expression and Paragon, so, I mean, maybe that helped short up their shot calling. Like, this could be a different facet to why they brought these 2 players in.
Yeah, definitely could.
Oh, but that poke is coming in. Tucson getting
really going to go in. There's the explosive cast. Miski already flanked by Expression and stunned right there. Flash used by Expression on that engage. Now they're going to turn onto this dragon. Without Mickey, they're just not going to have the poke necessary to follow up on another engagement.
And the Doomsday clock just keeps ticking.
Yeah, that's it. That is probably going to be it. Yes, we are even in gold. In fact, Anarchy has that slight lead, but this game is not looking very winnable from their perspective right now. When you consider their team composition and what they would have to do to get back into it.
So what do you think was a turning point in this game? Like, what really swung it into Longzhou IM's favor?
I think the laning phase with Mickey was really quite poor from them, and I think it's the early kills onto Mickey just totally stunted their timing window and made it so they didn't actually ever have a true power spike with this Varus.
Well, I mean, it was a good composition. I like the idea of it, especially with the way Ixu's building. He built a Rylai's into a Zhonya, so he's creating this zone. Him and Snowflower are just trying to create this big slow field that that Longzhou would have to wade through, and they understand their composition. It's just they just couldn't execute it in the early game.
Right, and the reality of this composition is if you play like this, you are assuming you are going to have priority positioning around Dragon, particularly. Right. You have to get there first. You have to have the better vision. And it works wonderfully if you have these things. Like you're saying, there's so much slow, you're going to be able to kite. IM is not going to be able to engage you satisfactorily, and eventually your 280 carries are going to make short work of the enemy front line. But that said, you start falling behind and you not playing from a place where you have the positioning right in front of the objective, and you have a lot of problems.
You get bled out, and Expression split pushing, gonna take this bottom tier 2, and Anarchy goes for the Desperation Baron.
Yeah, truly desperate at this point in time. Tucson just gonna throw a barrel in there. He sees what's going on. Everyone knows there's a Righteous Glory pop, more poke coming in.
And they delay the Baron? No, it's still taking
TP, and here we go. Tucson wants to make short work of this, especially coming in. He's got in the front line right now. Who is he going to get on? Is he going to commit to this? No, I am just going to steal it away, and that is probably going to be it. Snowflower quite low right now. Ixu, he is Zhonya's in the front line. Ignar finds a double stun onto Songyun and Mickey. That's going to cut off a lot of their damage, and here we go. Frozen's going in. He gets the kill, and now Frozen moving forward. More Sand Soldiers. Ignar steals it out from under his nose.
Frozen deserved that triple kill. He deserved it.
He did. Frozen has definitely been a major factor in what is likely going to be a win here for Incredible Miracle.
Expression snapping up that top wave.
He needs all the CS.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking great. Mickey low on mana too, so they're not going to be able to defend this, especially with the Baron buff minions coming down the mid lane. But will they be able to defend an inhibitor is the question.
Yeah, and man, let's take a look at this again. This was just so low, and look at that. Azir and Tucson on that Gragas, so easily able to steal it after Anarchy has to give up that positioning, and double stun right there. Mickey has cleanse, so he gets out of it, but that's Tibbers just clogging the choke point. And
right.
I mean, Songyun and Mickey did so little damage over the course of that team fight, thanks to the zoning provided from Ignar.
Yeah, Ignar played that fantastically well, but the problem was that they gave up that Baron. They just moved back, and they were really afraid of that engage. I mean, should they have pretended that they were in Texas and stood their ground?
I mean, they could have, but they're so squishy that I think you're likely dealing with the same situation. But I'm not sure you could actually start the Baron under those circumstances.
Right. Well, Azir nearing 5-item status.
Oh boy. Frozen really doing a good job this game. And looking forward, I have to question Mickey on Varus, because who is going to carry this team? If we look at Anarchy's wins, so many of them are Mickey killing the enemy backline if it's in a team fight, right, or it's in Mickey making picks on assassins. It's why the Zed was banned. Okay.
Oh.
Nice flash. But Lyra has the QSS, so he's able to get out of that situation, especially using his flash to hop over the wall right there. Fast fingers from Lyra, but this Baron buff still going to be extraordinarily difficult.
Oh.
Wow, Frozen over the wall, and that is Mickey just instantly dying. Paragon going to go down as well as he dives the turret a little bit too deep, but Ixu finds himself in the middle. Frozen with another kill.
Frozen making the plays.
Frozen making the plays.
And that's probably going to be this top inhibitor going down.
Yeah.
With the turret.
They've got the cannon minion right there. They're perfectly capable of tanking this out and burning it down with the help of the Sand Soldiers from Azir. And that is going to be a quick kill on the inhibitor. Sheen there too, courtesy of Aurelia.
And then they back off. Just
Then
recall and buy.
Then they back off. Forever going back and just buying and then finishing the game. I am
not Tucson though.
Not Tucson. He has to run away from the minion wave. Miscalculated that a little bit. But I am as a team that hasn't been able to close games very well. But this game, they're actually doing an extremely good job of closing, of forcing win conditions. Of course, that 5th dragon up in 20 seconds, I am going to have no real trouble getting there.
But they don't have position, and Anarchy is set up.
They see Sivir on the bottom side. They can definitely just walk there as soon as 4 of them get into some sort of position right now. They're also going to see Mickey right now.
That wave. Okay.
So Dragon's live, and IM is there.
And now they see them. They know exactly where a potential pick could come from, and they lose position on this dragon.
Well, there's nothing they can do at this stage besides get that poke down. Nice damage onto Frozen early. What? Oh. Frozen like glitched around there a little bit. Couldn't quite get all the way around that wall.
The order was given, but was not followed up on.
Well, that's his fault. He was giving the order to himself because his Sand Soldiers weren't really at fault there.
And they give up this 5th dragon.
I don't know about this. They can definitely fight. Chain of Corruption onto Tucson. There's an equalizer right in the choke. Paragon finds himself in Flame Spitter range. He can't get out thanks to the Rylai's, but Expedition is all over Mickey in the back line. Songyun finds himself unable to do anything. If he had flashed, if he had even had flashed, there were Sand Soldiers on the other side of the wall.
Expedition just carved a bloody swath through that team. That was actually very, that was rated R right there.
This is definitely a good play to get back into the enemy carry line, and now I am just going to use a little bit of a speed boost here with the Talisman of Ascension to finish off the game. Super Minions already going to be beating at the door of the Nexus, and Lyra gets stunned.
Oh.
Paragon is there, wants the kill, going to get the kill, has to flash out of the tower, but that's going to be it. A pretty clean win for Incredible Miracle with some new players on the roster really delivering in Game 1. The shot calling was a lot better than we've seen from them in the past.
I mean, it was crisp, it was decisive, they knew exactly what they wanted, they knew how to win, they knew what the weaknesses of Anarchy were. Completely different IM from what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and Anarchy too. different from them. Is Mickey the guy you want on a Varus on your team? It's not that he can't play Varus or that he wasn't hitting a lot of those skill shots. It's just, how do you win if you're Anarchy?